Hey everyone! Before we dive into this incredible story, do me a favor. If you love hardware, history, and Cold War mysteries, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It really helps us grow. And at the end of the story, when all the pieces come together, I'm waiting for your comments. Write what you think. Could this project have been saved, or was its fate sealed from the start? Now, get comfortable, because we're starting a journey back in time. We're going to talk not just about a gun, but about a dream, about a giant technological leap that almost changed the rules of the game on the battlefield. This is the story of the Soviet Norov, a machine that could see through night and fog, but couldn't see its own future. So, picture this. The year is 1983. A deep Soviet testing ground somewhere in the forests near Gorky, now Nizhny Novgorod. The air smells of pine needles, diesel fuel, and tense anticipation. With a clang of tracks, something resembling an alien from a sci-fi novel crawls onto the test track. This isn't just a self-propelled gun. These are 3 experimental prototypes of a machine codenamed Norov. And the first thing that catches your eye isn't the long barrel, but a massive, angular box clinging to its right side. That's the machine's eye. Its main trump card and its main Achilles heel, the radar sight. In theory, this thing was supposed to turn everything upside down. Imagine, night, pouring rain, zero visibility, and this machine calmly sees enemy tanks from 3 kilometers away, calculates, aims, and strikes with surgical precision. Science fiction. But, as is often the case in real life, between a brilliant idea on paper and the harsh truth on the proving ground lies a chasm. And the story of the Norov is a perfect example of how an ambitious design can be killed by its own technological adventurousness, by a changing world, and by simple, cruel economic logic. To understand where the very idea of the Norov came from, we need to rewind back to the 70s. It was the era of confrontation, the Cold War era, when 2 superpowers, the USSR and the USA, competed in an arms race, spending colossal resources on it. The economy of the Soviet Union, powerful but increasingly burdened by military spending and structural problems, demanded from the military not just new models, but breakthrough solutions. On the battlefield, classic anti-tank artillery reigned supreme. The legendary Rapira, the formidable Su-100s. But they had one fatal flaw: the human eye. The optical sight. What can it do in pitch darkness? In thick fog? In the smoke of burning vehicles? Nothing. The artillerymen became blind. And the deployment time for towed guns was dozens of minutes, during which an advancing enemy could already crush the defense. And it was under these conditions that the concept was born. Not to improve the old, but to create something fundamentally new. A new generation self-propelled anti-tank gun. Its credo was 3 pillars. First, all-weather capability. Rain, snow, night, no problem. Second, full autonomy. The machine itself searches for the target, itself tracks it, itself calculates firing data. No need to wait for commands from intelligence. Third, speed. From spotted to fired minutes. The project was named Norov. And in that name, there was something stubborn, willful, ready to go against the current. The designers, importantly, were not unrestrained dreamers. They were pragmatists within the system. To speed up the process and reduce costs, yes, in the USSR they counted money too, especially on complex projects. They took the path of unification. They took the already proven and excellent chassis from the Gvozdika self-propelled howitzer. A proven, reliable vehicle with good cross-country ability and even amphibious capability. They mounted a powerful 100mm smoothbore gun on it, a distant relative of the one on the Rapira. The ammunition consisted of the most modern rounds of the time, armor-piercing finna stabilized discarding the Sabot capable of penetrating thick armor at high speed, and high-explosive anti-tank heat rounds, burning through it with a shaped charge. It seemed like an excellent, balanced machine had been assembled. But the special feature, the main trick, the very revolution, was hidden in the turret. And here we come to the most interesting and most contradictory element of the story. The radar fire control system. It was created by the best minds of the Tula Design Bureau Strela. Imagine the level of technology in the late 70s. Computers were huge cabinets with lights. Microprocessors were just appearing. And these engineers managed to fit a radar, an entire radar complex, onto the turret of a self-propelled gun and inside its cramped fighting compartment. This was a titanic effort. The radar gave fantastic advantages. It could see a tank from 3 kilometers away, automatically track it, calculate corrections for wind, target speed, range, and give the gunner an almost ready solution. In theory, this turned the Norov into a night hunter, invisible and deadly. But, friends, every coin has a reverse side. And here it was huge, the size of that very antenna housing on the turret. First, vulnerability. This box with fragile electronics inside couldn't withstand a direct hit. It could be disabled by shrapnel, a stray bullet, simple shaking on the march. Second, and this is key, it gave away its position. Imagine, night, silence. You are a NATO tank commander, and suddenly your electronic warfare equipment starts screeching wildly. You're being painted by a powerful radar. You immediately know, somewhere out there, in the dark, is an enemy self-propelled gun. And then electronic warfare measures come into play, jamming that can blind the radar, or, even worse, anti-radiation missiles that fly straight for the source of the emission. It's a paradox. The machine's main advantage, its all-seeing eye, was simultaneously its beacon, screaming to the enemy, "Here I am, shoot here." And this smoothly leads us to economics and strategy. The USSR built weapons for a mass army. They had to be relatively simple, cheap to produce, reliable, and field repairable. And the Norov, with its sophisticated electronics requiring fine-tuning and qualified maintenance, was a boutique item. It sharply fell outside this paradigm. Its cost, by some estimates, could approach that of a full-fledged tank. And what could it do against that tank? This brings us to the next tragedy of the project: rapid obsolescence. While Soviet design bureaus were finishing, testing, and reworking the Norov, the world didn't stand still. A quiet revolution happened in Western tank design. New machines replaced steel monoliths, the American Abrams and the German Leopard 2. Their main shield was not just thick steel, but multi-layered composite armor, ceramics, titanium, alloys. Against such armor, the Norov's 100mm shell, even the most advanced APSs, became almost useless. The range of guaranteed destruction sharply decreased. To knock out such a monster, the Norov had to get dangerously close, to a distance where its radar no longer gave a decisive advantage, and its vulnerability and visibility became fatal. The machine, conceived in the 70s as an answer to the then Leopard 1s and M60s, in 1983 came out for testing already morally obsolete. The technological breakthrough in one area, the radar, was completely negated by lagging in another, firepower. The tests only confirmed these gloomy forecasts. The radar worked, but was finicky. Armor penetration wasn't enough, and new concepts were already in the air. Attack helicopters like the Apache were becoming the new kings of anti-tank warfare. Anti-tank guided missiles that could be launched from afar. The Norov found itself in a strategic dead end. In 1985, after brief deliberation, the project was officially closed. The 3 Seoul-built prototypes were sent to the back corners of the testing ground, where they slowly rusted in the rain and snow, an irony of fate for an all-weather vehicle. One of them, in our time, in 2022, was restored and placed on a pedestal in the Park of Victory in Nizhny Novgorod. But, pay attention, a most interesting detail: the monument is a Norov without its radar sight. That very part that was its soul and meaning. Symbolic, isn't it? History was erased, leaving only the shell. So was the Norov a failure? From a practical, military point of view, yes. It didn't go into series production. It didn't defend a single border. But from an engineering point of view, it was a grandiose, bold attempt to jump above its head. It was a testing ground for technologies. The experience of working with complex radar systems in cramped conditions was not lost. Look at modern Russian self-propelled howitzers like the Koalitsia SV. They don't have a separate radar for searching for tanks, but they have miniature radar systems for measuring the shell's velocity right at the muzzle, which sharply increases firing accuracy. This is a distant, but direct descendant of the developments made for the Norov. That's the story, friends. A story about how being ahead of your time can sometimes be as dangerous as falling behind it. The Norov could see through bad weather, but couldn't see the rapidly changing landscape of war. It fell victim to its own complexity, economic impracticality, and the relentless march of progress. What do you think? Did this project have a chance if it had been launched earlier? Or was the very concept of a radar-equipped self-propelled anti-tank gun a dead end from the start? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's debate, let's discuss. And if stories like this about forgotten weapons, ambitions, and engineering genius strike a chord with you, be sure to subscribe to the channel. There are many more such investigations ahead. Hit like if you found it interesting, and until next time in future videos, where we'll dig up something incredible again.